Hey yo family, welcome to the first video of this new YouTube chapter that we got now. Roll it. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Channel's name is TheThirdErnest. I'm Ernest Ariano III. Y'all guys, third family. If you're new here and you're not subscribed, consider subscribing at the end of the video if you like what you see. Now, we are in a whole new era of this YouTube channel. Since my last reaction video, I made the whole ultimatum video and what's going on with the channel, and we are now full-time. So this is the first full video full-time that I'm actually recording. And I'm like hyped and excited and nervous, but also pumped and ready to go and ready to just ready to grind. You know what I'm saying? And in my last discussion post on the channel, because we started the channel, like the very first video was The Ringer, I believe, off of Kamikaze. We started with Eminem. We're gonna be starting this new journey with Eminem. So I went on to Patreon and I was like, yo, we're gonna be doing this new journey that y'all guys are fully supporting. The Patreons, you know, they're paying the bills now. I have 1,700 new bosses basically. And I was like, yo, what song from Eminem would y'all wanna see for this upcoming video that we got? And the very first one, I believe, let me double check. I don't know if it was the first or the second. It was the very first one by Mark Orellana, and he suggested Airplanes by B.o.B featuring Hayley Williams and Eminem. And I was like, yo, that song would be like perfect for the moment in time that the channel is like, we're turning the page into a new era. That song is like the moment. That song fits exactly what happened over the last week. Now, I haven't heard this album in like mad long. I would say probably at least 6-7 years. Like, I think it dropped almost 10 years ago at this point. But yo, that album, I remember it when B.o.B first hit the scene. I remember exploding on the scene. So I'm excited to get back into that. I'm excited to hear this track again. I haven't heard it in years. So follow your boy on Instagram and on Twitter at TheThirdErnest, just like the channel. Links are down in the description. And we got B.o.B featuring Hayley Williams and Eminem, Airplanes Part 2. Let's get it.
Can we pretend that airplanes in the night sky like shooting stars? I could really use a wish right now, wish right now, wish right now. Can we pretend that
Yeah, this song is gonna take me way back to when I saw B.o.B and Lupe Fiasco at House of Blues in Houston. I forgot about how that bass line comes in all nice like that. Her voice is solid on this track. Her voice is solid in general, but on this track, fits perfect. And then the drop that comes right here, I remember the drop. Dreaming.
I could really use a wish right now, wish right now, wish right now. Dreaming.
One thing I remember about the whole album in general is specifically this song, and there's a couple of other songs. This was B.o.B's debut album, and then he was the next rapper. He was signed to T.I. at this point, if I'm not mistaken. But yo, the dude had the perfect beat selection for this entire album. This instrumental, this production is solid for what they're talking about in the song. I remember specifically. Damn, man, shit's taking me back, dog.
Yeah, let's pretend like it's 98. Like I'm eating lunch off a styrofoam tray. Yeah. Trying to be the next rapper coming out the A. Hoping for a record deal to ignore my pain. Yeah, now let's pretend like I'm on the stage. And when my beat drops, everybody goes insane. Okay, and everybody know my name. And everywhere I go, people wanna hear me sing. Oh yeah, and I just...
Yo, his flow, his delivery, man, it sucks to see the way that his career went, because the dude was the truth. He is the truth. His writing, he could write about anything. And I don't remember if he fell off because his sophomore album didn't do as good as the original. It was gonna be hard for him to top the freshman album or the intro album, because this album was amazing for the time that it came out in, for what it sounded like, for the features that he had on it. He didn't fit in what you would think rap sounded like from Atlanta at that time. So he exploded on the scene, and then he just fell off. But yo, see this right here, this shift in the light, this is why I need a light, a studio lighting system, because the sun goes behind clouds and it shifts the color temperature of the light, and I hate editing and it jumps to a different color temperature. Anyway.
Oh yeah, and I just dropped my new album. On the first week I did 500,000. Gold in the spring and diamond in the fall. And then a world tour just to top it all off. And let's pretend rapping like they call me the greatest. Selling out arenas with big ass stages, and everybody love me and no one ever hated. Just try to use imagination.
Can we pretend that airplanes in the night sky like shooting stars?
The transition into like the hook is so perfect on this track, but also like, and I don't remember because I didn't listen to music that in depth. I obviously listen to music in depth. That's just like my thing, but I didn't listen so much until like right now. Didn't catch this, but his ad-libs are absolute trash. Crazy to still be like hearing things 10 years after the song is dropped, and you know, all these different listens later, I'm barely hearing that.
Pretend that airplanes in the night sky like shooting stars. I can really use a wish right now, wish right now, wish right now.
I remember, and I do remember the whole theme of the song being like airplanes and shooting stars and wishes and dreams, like the way everything just connects together. And I think I remember Eminem's verse. He's talking about that. But anyway, I just want to point that out.
It's never happened. Like I never had dreams of being a rapper. Like I didn't write raps up in all of my classes. Like I never used to run away into the blackness now. Let's pretend like it was all good. Like I didn't live staring in the notebook. Like I did the things that I probably knew I should. But I ain't have neighbors, that's why they call it hood. Yeah.
Also, all these years later, that line, I still like, what does that mean? I ain't have neighbors, that's why they call it hood? Like, I think he's trying to put like wordplay there, and maybe it's like so easy, maybe it's right in front of my face, but I'm trying to look past it and I'm not seeing like the very literal wordplay. But have neighbors and call it hood, I've never understood that bar, and I still don't. But just like the black and white like duality nature of like the first verse of his and the second verse, the first verse is like, let's pretend that it's 98, so let's go back and pretend like we're in that moment of time, and I'm trying to rap to get out the hood and trying to rap to do all that. And then on this verse, he's more like, now we're in reality now, but let's pretend like none of this happened. Like before, we were pretending we were at the early stages and he was grinding to get to now, but now he's like, let's pretend like we never got to this point. So you're seeing it from like two different perspectives. I remember that, that's tight. But yeah, that neighbors call it hood for 10 years already. I don't understand that bar.
Notebook. Like I did the things that I probably knew I should, but I ain't have neighbors, that's why they call it hood. Yeah, now let's pretend like I ain't got a name before they ever call me B.o.B or AKA Bobby Ray. I'm talking back before the mixtapes, before the videos and the deals and the fame, before they...
Damn, that Cloud 9 mixtape, dog, I remember that one. That one went hard. But like, he was completely trying to be something that he wasn't. Like, he was trying to be an Atlanta rapper because that's the sound that was gonna get him signed, and he had the ability to sound like whatever he wanted to. I feel like this is more his true self. I feel like he was in that position that Lupe Fiasco was in after his first album. Like, even like Lupe Fiasco's album cover was like weird. He was like floating in space with all these different like things floating around him. I'm talking about the Food and Liquor album cover. This cover is very like comic book feel, like he crash landed down. Like, that's not something that you would expect out of A-Town, you know what I'm saying?
I'm talking back before the mixtapes, before the videos and the deals and the fame, before they ever once compared me to Andre, before I ever got on my space, before they ever noticed my face. So let's just pretend and make wishes out of airplanes.
Can we pretend that airplanes in the night sky?
Yo, I never heard that either. I'm like listening to production even more so now because of this channel. Let's just pretend, let's make wishes out of airplanes. Like, that's a bar. I never realized how heavy of a bar that is. You wish upon a star, you wish upon a shooting star. And so he's like, let's pretend and let's make wishes out of airplanes. Let's pretend the airplane is that shooting star, because we had to grind in order to get where we're at. We had to put ourselves in the position that we're at in order to win. We didn't have time to wait for a fucking shooting star to come through. We had to take the airplane and make it a shooting star. So we basically went out and got our wish. Like, yo, I never realized how much of a bar that was. And this, you could tell this shit is old as fuck, because he says before I ever got on MySpace. MySpace music was where it was at in terms of like being an artist. You could put your art out there, people could like pin it on their bulletin, and that was SoundCloud before SoundCloud, you know what I'm saying? But I completely forgot that they were comparing him to Andre 3000 for so long. But just the transition in the instrumental right before Haley Williams starts singing, like, you hear that, I don't even know what that sound is, but you hear like crescendo from like very light and faster all the way up until the beat drop. Dog, that was clean.
10 and
right
make wishes out of airplanes.
Can we pretend that airplanes in the night sky?
Oh, you know what? I think it's a distorted plane, like a plane passing past you, the way it sounds when it's flying over you. If I'm not mistaken, that would make sense, but let me hear it one more time.
Can we pretend that airplanes in the night night sky like shooting stars. I can really use a wish right now. Wish right now, wish right now. Can we pretend that airplanes in the night sky like shooting stars? I can really use a wish right now. Wish right now, wish right now.
And it seems like yesterday, it was just a dream. But those days are gone, they're just memories. And it seems like yesterday, it was just a dream. But those days are gone.
Yo, I remember like that. It's like a little bridge. It's not even a, I guess you could call it a bridge because it doesn't sound like the other portions of the song. But just the words that they're using right there, it seems like yesterday when the whole song is talking about going back, it was just a dream and like let's make wishes out of airplanes. Like the whole nature of the track is just right there in these 3 lines. But I love the transition to go from B.o.B to Eminem because it's like, it's such a smooth transition. It's B.o.B ending his part by like his singing, and then it's Eminem coming into his part with singing. So it's just like smooth, like perfect, and then the beat drops out, and then Eminem, let's pretend, like fire. We're gonna listen to that whole shit again.
And it seems like yesterday, it was just a dream. But those days are gone, they're just memories. And it seems like yesterday,
Eminem coming in.
it was just a dream. Those days are gone.
Alright, let's pretend Marshall Mathers never picked up a pen. Let's pretend things would have been no different. Pretend he procrastinated, had no motivation. Pretend he just made excuses that were so paper thin they could blow away with the wind. Marshall, you're never gonna make it.
So paper thin, they could blow away with the wind. Like you're making up these lame ass excuses for why you can never make it when all you gotta do is just go and get it. Those excuses aren't worth their weight. They don't hold any weight. They could blow away with the wind like paper blows away with the wind. And this track right here, again, if I remember correctly, Eminem's not gonna be crazy bar heavy. He's just telling a story. And Eminem's part is specifically why I picked this song to do it as the first track back from like going full time.
Marshall, you're never gonna make it. Makes no sense to play the game. There ain't no way that you'll win. Pretend he just stayed outside all day and played with his friends. Pretend he even had a friend to say was his friend. And it wasn't time to move and schools weren't changing again. He wasn't socially awkward and just strange as a kid. He had a father and his mother wasn't crazy as shit. And he never dreamed he could rip stadiums and just lazy as shit. Fuck a talent show in the gymnasium, bitch. You want him out the shit. Quit daydreaming, kid. You need to get your cranium checked. You're thinking like an alien, it just ain't realistic. Now
Damn, all these years later, he's still calling himself an alien, bro. He's got the song Marsh. He's got the song off of Marshall Mathers 2. I forgot the name of the track, but he's got that one. And then now here he is talking about like he's dreaming like an alien. Quit daydreaming, kid. And the reason why I picked this song is because what Eminem is talking about right now is exactly like that pivotal moment that I have in my life and y'all guys basically created for me. Pretend I never even started making reactions. Pretend that my boss gave me this ultimatum. Pretend that I was just gonna be on the track to be a certified like financial planner. Pretend all of that, or pretend I took the easy route and they gave me the ultimatum and I deleted the channel. And I stayed with the 9 to 5, and I stayed with the 401k, and I stayed with the much better than normal compensation plan. Like I stayed with all that and health insurance that was cheaper. Like I could have done that, but if I did that, I would have had to pretend that I'm not who I am, that I'm not the creative type that I have in my head. Like it's just sometimes you got to make that leap of faith. Sometimes you got to jump into the water and trust yourself that you're gonna be able to swim before you drown. That was the pivotal moment that I was at like 5 days ago.
it just ain't realistic. Now pretend they ain't just make him angry with this shit. And there was no one he could even aim when he's pissed it. And his alarm went off to wake him, but he didn't make it to the rap Olympics. Slept through his plane and he missed it. He's gonna have a hard time explaining to Haley and Laney these food stamps and this wick shit, cause he never risked shit. He hoped and he wished it, but it didn't fall in his lap, so he ain't even here. He pretends that
Airplanes in the night.
God. We're gonna listen to that whole part again because the rhyme scheme is fire, but also he's talking about like the same thing I'm talking about. Like pretend like you didn't go and try to reach for this once in a lifetime opportunity that you have. Pretend like you slept in, pretend like you had priorities that came before these dreams that you had, and you wouldn't even be in the position that you're in if you didn't take that leap of faith. That's exactly what he's talking about right here. But that whole like hard I sound and IS, like wished it, pissed it, like that kind of sound, like that's the entire rhyme scheme of the second half of his verse. And it's just it amazes me that he has the vocabulary, even like back then, to be able to go on these long extended runs of the same sound for the rhyme scheme.
And it just ain't realistic. Now pretend they ain't just make him angry with this shit. And there was no one he could even name when he's pissed it. And his alarm went off to wake him, but he didn't make it to the rap Olympics. Slept through his plane and he missed it. He's gonna have a hard time explaining to Haley and Laney these food stamps and this weak shit, cause he never risked shit. He hoped and he wished it, but it didn't fall in his lap, so he ain't even here. He pretends that
Airplanes in the night sky like shooting stars. I can really use a wish right now, wish right now, wish right now. Can we pretend that airplanes in the night sky like shooting stars? I can really use a wish right now, wish right now, wish right now.
Like, listen to what I'm just talking about right now when I say that B.o.B was not like any other Atlanta rapper that you would even think of at that point. Who has the vision to get Haley Williams of Paramore as the hook for their rap track? And the rest of the track is just like outro instrumental. So, yo, that song right now in my life, where I'm at, because of y'all guys, once again, thank you. That song hits so hard. It makes me just want to, push forward even further, because of like I have to jump. I have to do exactly what I think I'm capable of doing. There is no plan B. I don't have a plan B right now because this plan A is gonna work, because I don't have an option. So yo, I appreciate everybody on Patreon who responded. You know, Mark, also I appreciate this song, because I would have never even thought to do this song. But yo, that brings us to the end of this video, ladies and gentlemen. If you like what you see, please consider liking the video, leaving a comment down below. If you like what you see enough, please consider subscribing, because this in-depth breakdown, these lyrics didn't really have too much to do, but like this in-depth nature that we take these videos, every single video, every time. Follow your boy on Instagram and on Twitter at TheThirdErnest. Hit up the Discord also, same link in the description below. Become a Patreon, because like the Patreon is the only reason why this channel is still alive and why I'm able to make these videos full time. So if you want to support me, if you want to get extra like behind the scenes or extra videos or just extra content in general, the Patreon is where you're gonna get that, because I'm be heavy in that Patreon now that I got 1,700 bosses basically. But like I always say at the end of every video, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate your time. Go out there in the world, love and care for one another, love and care for each other, and I'll catch everybody on the next video. Peace. And it seemed like yesterday, it was just a dream, but those days are gone, they're just memory.